Real talk. This is one of my favorite subjects, actually. I remember there was a line in that movie Powder, if some of you saw it, and he's talking to the girl next door, and he's speaking like from where he's at. Powder's high level, self-realized, and she said something like, "Well, what about all the people on death row? Who's locked up in prison, the serial killers and the rapists and all that? What about them?" I don't remember the context, like exactly what brought that up, but I remember his line, and he says, "There's a part of us in every one of those people. There's a part of us in the so-called saints and also the sinners." What does that mean, though? That's darkness. How can I be dark? Spiritual, because the consciousness, the one consciousness embodies, you got to embody darkness in order to appreciate light. You can't have one without the other. Now, the intensity and the level of, you can say, grossness that gets expressed, that's going to differ, obviously, between somebody who's been on this evolutionary journey longer. They're going to be more seasoned. There's going to be more light and less darkness, but there's always going to be some darkness. If one's willing to go there, you can feel and sense the energy that are in some of these people that do these things that seem horrific. See, that same energy is inside everybody, but it's going to express differently. I should give examples, shouldn't I? I know, I always like examples. Like if somebody just talks, I'm like, well, give me an example to illustrate what you're saying, because I want to hear what you're saying. So I'm going to do that. So the anger that one could feel when they kill somebody, let's say, see, I've done meetings in prisons, and the prisons are full of people that they didn't mean to do it. They're in a relationship, and the girl, it happens on the other side too. Girls get crazy. Maybe even more crazy, because more emotional, they can really flip out. But anyway, these guys are in prison, and a lot of them is because of relationship. They caught the girl in bed with another guy, whatever. Or even they heard about it, and then they go to his house and do damage to him. Because of this, you can say, I can relate to that. I can't relate to killing because I'm not there. Maybe previous lives I've done that. Got locked up, and I'm like, I don't want to do that again. Not just because I don't want to get locked up, but no, something's evolved. Like you just don't do that, Not because you're trying hard, you really want to kill, but you try not. No, it's just you don't feel like killing. But I can relate to that level of all these different emotions being felt at the same time. Jealousy, envy. You're mad at her, but you want to take it out on the guy. Disrespect, just pure betrayal, okay? So I can relate to the ones that kill people over that. I can relate to losing control. I remember what that feels like. I never lost total control, but I know that state where you're just, the emotions run so high that there's a potentiality to black out or something. Like I know that. So I can relate to them. I can relate to you could say the person that, like the pedophile. Cambodia is full of that. Well, what do you mean, Yash? You can relate to that. Right. See, the mind start. So what, are you saying you want to do that? I can relate to when you feel super empty and you're just super disconnected with yourself, and then you see a younger a kid, that purity that a child has, it's like you want to eat that energy. That's what these people are doing, and that's why you hear some, they rape them, then they kill them. I mean, they kill them, then they eat them. That's the most grossest level of consuming that energy. They're in dire need of energy. So I can relate to needing energy. Back in the past when I would have these low days, See, it's nice as you evolve, as your spiritual practice becomes more assimilated, you don't have these bipolar days anymore. You're super down and then you're super up, you know. There's more of a balance. But before, I remember I would just feel down. I would just be down for multiple reasons. It doesn't matter. But I'd be really down, and something wants some energy. I need some energy. Like, give me some energy, you know, so I can relate to that, being hungry for energy. So I feel that's what he means when Powder says, you know, a part of yourself is in everybody. It's just, are we willing to go there? Anyway, the topic is about, like, free this darkness up, because God's in there. God's in everything. Nothing could exist if there wasn't the rudimentary consciousness that gives rise to something for it to exist. God's playing both sides, darkness and the light, because that's duality. You can't have the light, only the light, and no darkness. It's not possible. So then some may say, well, how could God play such a dark, evil role also? Because if there's only God, nothing's really getting hurt or raped or killed or destroyed or anything. Now we got to say the other side too. Nothing's being blissed out in ecstasy, love, etc. That's the light side. God's beyond all that. I don't know any words to describe the absolute, except it's like just your perfect equilibrium. Yeah, what are you going to say? So we need both of those sides. So, you see, people make the mistake, they don't want to look at the darkness, especially those on the spiritual path. It's like, nah, you know, light, love, peace. But I've said before, there's something missing in those people. Because your dark side, there's pent-up energy in there. Consciousness is like trapped somehow. How do you free it? You got to free it so that then it can be transmuted into the light. So actually, you're dark. I'm sitting on a downward hill because the light's like, this is what I got to do to make a video. These heavy emotions, despair, depression, anxiety, anger, etc. That's your future peace, actually, because it's energy. It's just the frequency of that energy is lower. That energy is confined. It's restricted. You see? You gotta open it. You gotta let it out. It's like if you have tension in one of your muscles deeply, they got this thing called dry needling therapy. That works when massage don't work and acupuncture don't work and Reiki don't work. You need some bigger guns, but yet still keep it holistic. Go get dry needling therapy. Anybody that has any karma as far as just really tense muscles in your neck or back, or etc. Of course, there's different. You got to find a good one. You know. Anyway, when the therapist puts the needle in and releases that tension, it's like that anxiety or that tension you used to feel, it like turns into spacious lightness. The energy gets converted. The grade of energy is not so heavy. She released it. It's moving now. The life force is flowing. So then it transmutes. It goes from a lower, heavier, grosser level frequency, which that's where the level of like heavier, unpleasant, darker emotions exist. It goes from that into your higher frequency of, you can say, experience in this human form, which is more light, you're more joyous, you're more content, more unconditional love, more patience, etc. You got to take the whole package. I was doing a meeting, I was doing a group. We were talking about that. How it's like when you're in self-will or ego, you got to take that whole package. That means mentally, physically, emotionally, you're going to take that package of ego and self-will, which is a lower frequency. So you're going to get all the lower frequency thoughts and emotions and feelings and perceptions, no unity with other people, very selfish, etc. Whereas if you have the serenity package, God package, you get tolerance and patience and unconditional love. You don't get angry so easy or depressed, or the restlessness is much more down. So you still have both sides though. This is I feel like I want to make this point though. It's not that you got to retain some level of darkness. Otherwise you wouldn't even appreciate the light. You wouldn't know what it is. I don't care who the master is, or guru, or sage. If they're in a form, which they're always going to be, the individualized consciousness needs a form to exist. So you have the grossest level form, you can say, these bodies, and then the lightest form, which is just just maybe thin little light body, you can't even see it, it's still a form. You got to retain some level of dark to have the light. So the whole evolutionary journey that never ends, but it gets to where you're good enough to where you just don't, it's not a big deal anymore. You appreciate it, you like it. It's fun even, have a little dirt, a little darkness, why not? You get to where this darkness transmutes more into the light. The darkness becomes like gets eaten up by God more. So then you get the God state, so to speak. So did I cover what I wanted to cover? What was the title? Find your God power in the darkness. So I've already touched on that. I just want to drive it home a little more. This darkness has God power in it. But if you don't look at it, you're not going to realize it. The mind and ego, we've all heard the term spiritual bypassing and do your shadow work and all that stuff. What does it mean? It means don't skip. First of all, realize there's dark and light in you. I guess that's the most basic question. Realize that. Do you admit that to yourself, that there's some darkness there? Are you okay with it? Does something feel you need to investigate that more to bring awareness to it so that it can transmute? Or is it nothing, basically? Maybe you get maybe it's just nothing. And the consciousness, it's like it has its own self-cleaning mechanism. We don't need to spend 24 hours a day and try to find all of our imperfections and say, okay, oh no, I got to work on this, I got to work on that. We're always going to have something, so what are you just always going to work on something? Yeah, on some level, but is the work being done itself? That's the question. Sometimes we need to put our attention on it. Sometimes the consciousness wants to do that. Some things need to be looked at more than others. Other things, if it's like you're walking by and somebody does that, and then you feel a little animosity maybe. What are you going to do? You can go home and work on it? I should love him the same way. If he does that, I should love him the same way as if he does that. No, you're a human being, it's natural. Somebody's sending that negative energy to you, there may be, you're going to have some inner response to that. So is it, or, what do you do? Do you need to spend a bunch of attention on that, trying to work on it? Well, it depends. Depends how strong the reaction, how much you move inside if somebody does that. If you're ready to kill him or something, yeah, you need to work on that. If you just notice like, what's wrong with this guy? And then a few seconds later, consciousness, wisdom dawns on you, and oh wait, he's having a bad day actually. Whoa, actually I feel bad for him. I remember I used to be like that. That's organic. That's organic compassion. So then I wouldn't say you need to work on it. It's the work is being done itself. But don't use that as an excuse to avoid things that actually you do need to work on, so to speak. You see how everything's paradoxical? You can't you can't write a list and say, follow this protocol, you're good. No, life is spontaneous, and unfolding in the moment, and how the consciousness and intuition's expressing through you today is going to be different than tomorrow or next year or something. You just flow with it. You give that up. You surrender that. You surrender the evolutionary journey that this human self is on. You don't take it so serious. You got to understand that's identity. Yeah, we're this form, but we're also beyond it. And the beyond is more real because that's eternal. This form's not going to last. Probably, I don't know, a few more decades, maybe, and it's finished. But what I am, what this form is housed in, never ends. And this is the same with everybody. Consciousness can't die. So let me know how you like that video. I like it. All right, see you.